some people are hesitant, and I know this because I have talked to people who have told me this. I'm not pulling this out of the air. They're hesitant to get the Bible down and go into it with their kids because they're nervous their kids are going to ask them questions they don't know the answer to. And I know your kids are still young, but probably your 8-year-old has probably asked you some questions you might have to scratch your head on. How do you handle those situations, and what advice can you give to parents who may be worried about that?
I think that honestly, homeschooling has been helpful for us in this way, because in homeschooling, we were also nervous about the same thing of just reaching places that we,
didn't feel qualified.
And I think not feeling qualified, this is a little soapbox here, is kind of an American cultural thing that we have going on, where we have been trained to believe that you have to ship things off to the experts. And we have these church experts who know all the things. But God has given us our kids and entrusted them with us, and we are the main disciplers in our homes as parents. And so we, first of all, just at the end of the day, it's about trusting God that He's going to provide for all of us what we need. And when we get questions that we don't know the answers to, just realizing that that's okay. It's okay to not know all the answers, and that really, this isn't what we really want to create. Is not, hey, this is mom and dad teaching the Bible time, but hey, this is literally all of us as a family discovering God together. We're co-learning about God. We're discovering Him. And we might all come across a question we don't understand, and that's okay, because we have the internet, we have resources, we have commentaries, and we have amazing, church leadership that we can call up and we can talk to. So it even helps train our kids, in how to, beyond the home, go to church leaders, go to mentors and people who are smarter than us, who can help us understand these things, how to pick up a book and do some study and learning about God. And so we don't feel the need to know everything, because we don't. And because we, I loved what you said before about, even as empty nesters, we continue in it, because this is something we're doing with our kids, but it's not really just for our kids. It's for us to discover God with them. And so,
something I think is so encouraging that I wish I had learned earlier on, because it's been such a stumbling block for me in my relationship with the Lord in past years, has just been, I tend to be a little bit more of a perfectionist, like straight A student type. And so I didn't realize, as I was getting to know the word better as I got older, that it was okay if I didn't understand something. It would completely derail me if there was the first time I really started reading the Old Testament, and I was like, what in the heck is going on? Like, how could God do this? I didn't understand so many of the cultural contexts and things like that. And it would just way throw me off course, instead of digging deeper and just seeing the goodness of God in the things that I could understand, and then going and asking for help or doing further study, and knowing that the Lord is patient with me, and to be patient with myself, instead of feeling like I should know this, or if I don't understand it, there's a problem. And I think that is kind of just a really common problem, especially in our culture, since there is so much information everywhere, to feel like we should already know things. And I think it's been so helpful for us in our family context to get to things and go, hey, we might not know the answer to this. It's good for us to know that we don't need to panic, and to be able to look at our kids and say, hey, well, mom and dad let's figure out more about this. We don't know the answer to this question, but as we're looking at this, let's maybe just pick out two big things, two big takeaways. Who do we see God to be in this passage? Like, can we name anything about His character here, and how can we respond to that? And that be just as simple as we can make it in that moment, and not getting hung up on details that we might not have all the answers to yet, but also just showing that we don't need to be afraid when there are things we don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of very key things I think that you hit on there. One, when you show your kids that you don't have all the answers, then that frees them up to ask questions themselves. Mm-hmm. Right? If they feel like you've got all the answers, it could make them feel inferior, to like, oh, I don't want to ask this question because it'd be a dumb question. Honestly, we've had our church culture over the years has not been real good on that, because of the facades that we want to bring into church. sometimes we don't ask the questions or admit that we don't understand something because for fear of, people think we don't have it together or something like that. But fostering that in the home not only helps with the kids, but it also helps develop it in the wider church, I believe, where we can dig into those harder questions that people have and things that sometimes hinder people's faith, and have some good conversation about that. So I think that's very important on being transparent when you don't know something, and hey, let's study this together and let's look at it. The other thing that Jonathan was hitting on, the way I phrase it, he's talking about outsourcing things to the experts. I say you cannot delegate the discipleship of your children. That's just not, I come from a business world. And so we talk about delegation a lot and getting things off your plate and delegating it down to the lower level and things like that. But discipling your kids cannot be delegated. It is a responsibility that God has given us. And I'm afraid too often we say, well, they'll learn that in Sunday school. The pastor will teach them this, or the youth minister will teach them this. And in reality, there's no way that 1 or 2 or even 3 hours a week at church can adequately prepare them for all the other stuff that they're going to encounter throughout the week, especially as they begin to get older. So I think those are two very important things that you've said that kind of resonated with me along those lines.